Okay, let's share it. So this is the June 2nd. Kindly, Anna left a reminder for us here about Livia, Livia's birthday. And one more time, Anna asked me to ask you if we need another meeting of clarification about the possibility of some people coming here to Brazil in September, to the event that will take place on September 7th. It's important that if you think we can fix another time, another way, another day to meet and clarify, because I think as much as we, this is personal opinion, the more we can meet, the more we can clear things, right? For everyone to be more, to be safer, to be more calmer about the trip, right? And it's important as soon as possible to get to know how many people are coming, so we can imagine the dimension of the meeting and the situation we're going to stand up against, right? Because look, someone, for example, is coming, is Sonia Rinaldi, right? She confirmed that she will be in the meeting, speaking to us, doing whatever she usually does with us here in Belo Horizonte. Sonia Rinaldi, I think you know her, don't you, everybody here? Mm-hmm. Sonia from São Paulo, right? So she confirmed her presence 1 or 2 days, I guess, for the meeting. Mm-hmm. And then we go on, right, fixing and arranging with some more people. I was thinking about some other people, but we need to know exactly who is coming for us to take action in this situation. So what do you think, people? Do we need another clarification meeting? I would like to, yes, Annie says yes. Or who else says yes?
I have a question, and the question is this: are we sitting in a hall with speakers making speeches, or is there a different system in this venue?
No, for example, Sonia Rinaldi, as far as I could understand, because Anna fixed with her, she would be there in the house where you're going to stay to speak to us, because I remember that she told me, Sergio, there must be a big TV, a big smart TV in the house, because Anna is going to use that TV to show things, you know. Is it what you asked, Giles, or am I just...
Oh, that's pretty much what I asked. Asked. That's, but these SLiDS meetings, SLiDS, which I still don't know what it stands for. 7 all day, 8 all day, and 9 all day. All day what? What? Sitting in a lecture hall, watching lectures, or talking to actual spiritual guides?
Oh, I think there will be, I don't think we should talk about this right now, because it's going to become the meeting that we're trying to fix for. But I think that there will be a sort of all kinds of modalities of things. You have lecture, you can have lecture, you can have interactive studies, you can have mediumistic experience. It's an immersion in all this, right? That's what we think it should be, right? But of course, we need to know the number of people that are coming. We need to know exactly where people are going to stay, and for us to make our decisions about that. But so
okay, no, that's excellent. And now I fully understand. The day, all day, 7, 8, and 9 will be played by ear, or probably arranged the day or two before, 3 days before, when you know how many people are coming. And what is interesting is that I am very interested in learning about spirit. So I would like to listen to people who know
That's
You're
it. That's
telling
why,
me.
for example,
That is the purpose, my
yeah.
purpose.
For example, I was thinking, as I told you last meeting, I was thinking about inviting Dr. Alexander Moreira, right? He is a very, he's a doctor, a PhD related to the research of spirituality and medicine. And he'll be speaking, he speaks English. If you want, he can speak in English and someone translate into Portuguese, because we could do something intimate with him, but we could also do something public. It depends on what he requires. You understand? So everything is a kind of a brainstorming thing. We can do all kinds of things. And we're trying to plan this. Annie, please.
Is this Eben Alexander?
No.
No,
It's not
okay.
Eben
Alexander
Alexander,
Moreira.
no.
He's from those people, Peter Fennick, Dr. Dean Rading. He is from the same group, you know.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Annie?
I just want to say that Anna is always, when she does everything, she does it excellent. And I believe Luis does too, and all the Brazilians. And so whatever is planned for our all day things, I think is going to be amazing, whatever it is. And we just need to go into it with our hearts open and ready to have a really, really good time, because that's what it's going to be, regardless of what it is. And we need to let them plan it, because they're the Brazilians and they know what to do. That's
Thank
all.
you very much, Annie, for the trust. And something that's just adding to what Annie has just said. Of course, there will be a spiritual resistance to all kinds of movements that like this, right? We are trying to mix and to meet people from different egregoras, as we say in the Spiritism. Saxons, Latins, Europeans, and I think this is amazing. And love must prevail, right? Love and fraternity must prevail for things to get to be successful, right? And remember that we are here because we are friends. We are here, we're gonna get together because we want to see each other. We want to meet each other. This is the first thing, and everything is gonna be all right as a consequence, right? Okay, so I think you can send us email, right? If you want to think about a time. I was thinking about another, the same, I think it was, last time was a Tuesday, wasn't it? The last time we met for this was a Tuesday. I don't remember anymore. So get in touch with Anna and give your availability, right? And then we can decide about that. Well, so I'd like you, okay, Annie, as you were the last one to speak, could you please read this, our first prayer for us to begin today? Breathe in, everybody, breathe out, right? And let's move on. Please, Annie.
Okay. Our source is the spiritual realm. We celebrate your presence with us here and now. Let us be guided by unconditional love and be of service for the highest good. We thank you for the abundance we receive, and please forgive our mistakes as we forgive those who cause us difficulties. Help us never to judge another until we have walked a mile in his or her moccasins. Help us to fulfill our purpose, uphold our values, and be understanding and compassionate. We ask for your guide and protection for our lives and the lives of our family and friends, and for our family and friends on the other side. Set your way before us, Jesus. May we make a difference in this world for your glory and purposes. With all our love, amen.
And so it is.
And so be it, and so be it. Annie, thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Well, guys, let's move on to the thing. Remember that not today, because Anna is not here. She asked to wait for us to wait, right? That these are the books. Diana, that's the beginner here. Remember, Diana, these are the books that were psychographed, were channeled through mechanical writing from a very famous Brazilian medium. I don't know if you heard of him. It's called Chico Xavier, right?
Yes, I have. I've watched a movie this week, Astral City.
Well,
on
crazy. That's
YouTube. So I was kind of curious because I watched a video last week where you on YouTube where you talked about the book.
Yes.
And I was looking into the video, and it's kind of nice, interesting.
Yes, it's interesting that this has been more well known nowadays, because this medium was so amazing in my country. He changed so much, and so many people, thousands of people, with his mediumship. Everywhere, for example, the other day, Liv and I were walking down a street here near my house, and we met a guy, and he told us such an incredible story that happened to his cousin. This story was related to Chico Xavier too, and it could make a good Hollywood movie. So it's everything like this. So this country was very touched by his works, and we decided to study these books here more closely. And exactly the first book is Astral City, by the spirit of all this section, all these sequences by the spirit of Andre Luiz, right? In English, Andre is the Andrew. And Andre Luiz was a doctor, right? A late doctor from Brazil that ended up in the spirit realms, and he came back to tell his experiences. But the difference exactly is that he was using the outstanding capacity, mediumistic capacity of Chico Xavier to do that, right? So that's why many people in Brazil, even universities in Brazil, study these books, and they get into scientific research about the afterlife and things like that because of the revelations present in his book. So the first one is Astral City, and then we're going to move on to the Messengers. And there will be another movie, remember, that they are making now at this moment. And the other movie will be about this book, The Messengers. But to call more attention, they title Astral City 2, right? But actually it will be about the book, The Messengers, as I've been told like this, right? Okay. And Anna asked me for us to read this message that came from the book Respostas da Vida. Respostas da Vida is life's responses or life's answers by the spirit Andre Luiz. And I'd like to invite Haising. Can you read it for us, please? I think Haising is not available right now. What about you, Gloria?
I'm muted.
Sure.
No, I'm muted.
Okay, go ahead, Haising.
Okay, Haising, yes. Can you read the message for us?
Yes. Let's learn to avoid complaints so as not to aggravate difficulties. In situations where correction is really necessary, hand the circumstances over to those responsible for guiding them, who knows when and how to intervene. If you have found a critical point of a crisis, you will have found a place where the general benefit asks you for help. Seeking to rectify some error, your knowledge of good is worth more than your knowledge of evil. To safeguard everyone's harmony, imagine yourself in the condition of the person you intend to pose your problem to. Reflect on the tribulations that will probably be going through the creature to whom you want to present your criticism. Your complaint will not bring you any advantage. Bitterness toward people from whom you expect cooperation and service is the surest way to guard them against their own interests. Anyone who cultivates peace can live in peace from where one judges himself to be disharmonious. Always try to apologize, because what seems to us to be a fault in others can also appear as a fault in us. And when it comes to apologizing, if today we can do it for others, the day to receive will always come for each of us.
Yeah, all strong message. Yeah, it's the first time I've seen any comments, people.
It's absolutely true.
Mhm.
When you judge others, you are judging yourself.
Yes, I can you remember that phrase by Jesus Christ when they say the measure with which you measure others,
Yes.
that's the measure will be measured with.
Exactly.
Yes, this is so interesting because I think how karma is also related to our psychological profile. Because if you are so hard on others, your consciousness, your conscience will be hard on you. You are more merciful with others, your conscience will be more merciful with you. This is so incredible, isn't it? That's what says that karma is not so much eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, right?
No.
It's something related to what you feel towards others, right? That's why I think the Apostle Peter said, love covers a multitude of sins.
Yes.
Right? Beautiful, isn't it? It's
Yes.
something so, because the spiritists in Brazil, sometimes, of course, those who don't get deep into the knowledge about the spirits, sometimes they come to this conclusion that everything is just black and white and karma. If you said this, if you did this, you're going to pay exactly the same thing. But there's a sentence, I think, from the Spirit's book that I like it very much. I say, it's more worth for life if you lose a finger working for the others in benefit of others than staying 10 years in bed in benefit of yourself, karmically speaking. It's funny, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why in the Spiritism we say, out of charity, there is no salvation, right? Because we need to wash away lots of karma from other lives. And if we do good to others, we go on washing them away, and washing it away. Okay, and then there's another, today's going to be shorter, as I told you, people, but listen to this question here about slavery in the Spirit's book, 832. There are people who treat their slaves humanely. They think that expose them to greater poverty or deprivation. What do you think of this? And the answers by the Spirit is they have a better understanding of their own interests. They take the same care of their cows and horses to get a better price for them at the market. They are not as guilty as those who treat them badly, but they will still treat them as merchandise by depriving them of their freedom.
May I say here that very often they think that these people cannot think.
Yeah.
That they're like animals and they must guide them. That has been a big problem.
I agree with you, Hyacinth. And the point is, many people even think they didn't have souls in the past, for example, right?
Yeah.
The slaves didn't have souls, right? Yeah. And Gloria, please go on.
Online this week, I saw a beautiful story about a young man who I think he got a scholarship and he went to Harvard, and he started interacting with love to the people who cleaned the building and served the food and drove the vehicles, and acknowledging them about how a prestigious place like that could not exist without what they contributed. And then for the first time in the history of that university, he set up an awards program for the service staff and acknowledged them and gave them awards for outstanding service to the students who get to go there. And I just thought that was a beautiful example of
Wow.
someone
Gloria, begging your pardon, what year was this? When did this happen? In which country?
recently here in this country.
In USA, recently. Okay,
We
within
know
the
the
last 5 years.
university.
Harvard is in Massachusetts. And this young man came from a humble background, and he knew how important it was to lift these people up. And they had never been lifted up like that before in their lives. And so he started a new tradition. And I just thought it was one of the most beautiful things I've read in a long, long time. And granted, it's not slavery, but it's an example of how we not ignore, but take for granted the contributions of others and how important those contributions are.
Wow, wow, crazy, very good. Thank you very much for sharing this with us, because this kind of thing summarizes everything we've been looking for. Every objective of spirituality on this planet has to do with that kind of situation. Take reincarnation, for example. What does reincarnation really do is something very serious. And remember Allan Kardec in France, when he was receiving the Spirit's book, or collecting and helping to compile the Spirit's book. Remember that he asked the spirits, why do some countries, why in some countries you don't say that reincarnation exists? Even through the mediums, you say that reincarnation doesn't exist. For example, in England, mediums, lots of mediums there don't say that the spirits deny reincarnation. And the spirits answer, because in some countries, because of prejudice, racism, and others, there won't be, it's not going to be good if we talk about reincarnation. So we teach first the rest, and later we will teach reincarnation, because if we teach now reincarnation, this country will deny reincarnation and the rest. But they said, I guarantee that in the future, they will, of course, because this is a natural law, they will come to the conclusion of existence of reincarnation. This is so important for you to understand the Kardecian criteria for the analysis of what comes from the spirit realms. Because some mediums can say something, some others can say another thing. Allan Kardec said that reincarnation was taught in France because of the freedom of thought at that time. Lots of philosophers, Illuminism, whatever. So, and he said, but it's not going to be in everywhere, in every country. And we can say it's not going to be in every group. So the group has to be very open-minded to understand and to accept not only reincarnation, but the karmic laws that come along with the knowledge of reincarnation, you know? Because I remember in Brazil, for example, many spirits that came from slavery, they are called preto velho, right? Yes, old elderly people. And many times they had been doctors, right? People of high rank, military rank in other nations, but they were born in Africa, right? Under a very difficult conditions, and they were enslaved and came to Brazil. And once I was speaking to, I've already told this case here, I was speaking to one of them, and this very old slave, discarnate slave, was talking to me through a medium, and I asked him, he was talking about the medicine, you know, how come a person who was a slave in Brazil has such a knowledge about medicine, and he was teaching some spiritist doctors about a case of a woman here in Brazil, in my town. And they said, I don't understand where you got knowledge about that. And he said, well, because I appear as a slave because culturally the medium needs that, right? If I appear as a doctor, the medium is not going to receive me. But I was a slave in Brazil, but also I had been a doctor before. And because of my mistakes and my high pride and prideful kind of living, I was, subjected to this kind of reincarnation to gain humbleness, right? To be more humble, and because this is a humbleness, to be humble is a kind of a currency in the spiritual realms. This is money here, right? You can only really possess things here with the money called virtue, right? And all the other things are just delusion, the delusional things for us. So this is beautiful, isn't it, guys? Beautiful. Thank you very much, Annie, for this example, because and reincarnation is all of that. And I had in my life lots of some very important experiences about reincarnation. I have a friend that she gave me some hints about my last reincarnations, previous lives, and this one is Lida, is over there, Lida. Of course, it was not very pleasant, right, to know about some things, but anyway.
We have been together for a long time, right?
Yes, we have, haven't we, Lida? And Lida, people, I was teaching a class, lower level students of English, and Lida was 13 years old when she came up to me and said, "Luis, I've heard you're a spiritist." I said, "Oops, yes, I am. And could you answer me some questions?" "Oh, yes, of course." And then she came with a list with about 20 something questions for me to answer, very deep ones. I said, "Oh my goodness, I have to sit down, do a research." And that's it. That's why she's still here up to now, right? Okay, guys, I think it's thank you from Anna. Okay, Maria, sorry, I didn't see your hands up. Go.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Luis. As humanity on Earth, we are still in our spiritual infancy, talking the first steps in our evolution of eternal beings. Slavery is not God's natural law. It is a consequence of human hardness. And I do not believe that the law of cause and effect was not created to punish us. It's to give to us a new opportunity. Then I think that about karma actually represents a new opportunity to learn. When the humanity have more love with each one in the relationships, probably we need to think that we are saying goodbye to our infancy and go on to teenagers, spirits, all right? Do you understand?
Yes, so this thing of a spiritual age, it's something that I'd like to develop with you a little bit, people, about spiritual age, right? Because when I was young, and I remember arriving at a spiritual center where my mother used to work, and there was a medium together with her, and the medium was under a spiritual influence. And the medium called me up and said, "Hey, come here, you young man." And the spirit said, "You're an old man, you're an old spirit, right? And but look, you like science, don't you?" Say, "Yes, I love science, I like them. But don't wait for science this time, right? Don't wait for science to get there, because it will take longer, much longer for science to get what you already know. So don't waste your time, right? And don't be proud, because many people, they wait for science because of pride. Okay, I don't want to believe that in something that not anybody believes it yet, right? So, and it was very useful for me, this kind of advice, Annie.
I just want to know, I know you have to go quickly. If any of us want to stay, can you leave the Zoom on and we can stay, and then we can just leave when we want to leave?
Oh, yes. One thing that so I think also Giles gave this idea, right, too. And I think we can do this. The only thing I think I should do is stop the recording. Yes. So
Yes.
that Anna, the boss, cannot be, right? I don't know if she is going to like the idea of recording everything, but that's it. And I'll be here for some time still. Oh, Gloria, thank you. Annie.
Yeah, the point I wanted to make is that the way I see slavery is it's a product of materialism, because human beings become a commodity. And in a way, the service personnel that I spoke about that are now being honored because of this young man's awareness at Harvard University, they are treated the same way because they're not able to command more power with their income. They're treated differently and held in a different way. So I see both of those as a direct result of our human preoccupation with materialism instead of spirituality.
Wow. Gloria is bringing such material for us to talk about today. Food for thought, a lot, because look at what I'm going to say now. I used to give a lecture every Monday for about 10 years in a Spirit Center. And in that Spirit Center, there was a very humble man. And this story is even written, not my story, but that's something that happened to me too. The man, he was a kind of janitor of the Spirit Center. He used to sit down there, at the bottom of the room, very humble man. But I felt like he was the aura involving the meeting for me. And he was such a great help for me. And he had no physical value to anyone at the Spirit Center. But the day he died, I had to pray 100 times more before beginning, and to be much more aware of what I was saying, because he maintained the energy of the meeting with his spirit, right? Maybe he was a very superior guy. Because sometimes, if you want to be superior in the spirit realms, you have to ask, I want to be a very humble person. I don't want to be very intelligent, because otherwise I'll make mistakes, the same mistakes I made in the past. This just like Jesus Christ used to say, right? If you're better off if you go into life with one eye than going with two eyes and be sent to hell, right? Because of that. So exactly, he chose, maybe sometimes the Spirit chooses not to be very intelligent, not to be good at math, to pass very high examinations, in order to be humble and to conquer, and finally conquer his release from earth. And this is beautiful. And this man, I remember every day that how fine things were while he was there, and how difficult the lecture became after he died, right? And he left. Okay, Annie.
I think I've told you guys that my dad, who transitioned in 2012, he was the owner of quite a few funeral homes.
Yes.
And funeral homes make a lot of money. My dad, he wasn't a mortician, he was the banker. He was the one who oversaw like the financial part of it. But my dad was the most generous, kind, loving man I've ever met in my life. And no matter how much money he had, you would never have known that my parents had money, because they were the hardest working people. And my dad when he would go to the funeral home, if he was waiting for a meeting, he would go around and pick up all the garbage out of the waste paper baskets and put it away, or he would go down and wash the cars. He would say, what can I do? What could I do? And he would always say, make yourself useful. What can you do? And I remember one time he looked at me and he said, janitors are people too. We're all equal. And my dad said to me one time, Annie, no matter what you do or who you are or what you have, you're not better than anybody else. And don't ever forget that. And I always felt, my dad would go around the funeral home and he knew every single person's name from, you know, everybody. It didn't matter it didn't matter the job they did. They were part of a team. And I remember when my dad transitioned, there were so many people at his funeral that said, your dad was the best boss I ever had. And one girl came up and she said, your dad hired me when I was out of high school to work in the bank. And she said, one Christmas, there wasn't enough money for everybody to get a bonus. So my dad gave everybody a bonus out of his paycheck. And I always felt that this was my dad's last life on earth, because he loved unconditionally. And like, wow, I always say, if I could be, you know, half of what my dad was, then I'm doing something right.
Wow, people, very good. Thank you, Annie, for sharing this. This is so touching, right? And this is so beautiful. What's your father's name?
His name was Robert Charles, or
Robert
everybody
Charles.
called him Bob.
Yes, Bob Charles, right? Bob Charles may be listening to this. He'll be very glad
Yes.
to listen to this. And we are, right, sending him our thoughts and prayers for him to have a wonderful life, right, in the spirit realms, because of course, this is currency there, people. What Andy has just said is the money out in the other realm, right? Because titles, material magnificences, there won't be worth the way we would like them to be, right? Okay, so this is something that's going to be really true, and that's why reincarnation is such a very resisted kind of knowledge, because it vanishes away all kinds of prejudice, racism, religion, what kind of class, you know, because things get tough. And that's why, for example, Romans didn't like the idea of reincarnation at all. And they didn't want Christianity to have this idea. Imagine a Roman emperor, yes, coming to the conclusion that in the next reincarnation, he would be born in a very poor tribe in Africa, right? Because of his exceeding mistakes in the power. So it's no go. It's something, and that's people why, as we talk about meetings like this, and look, our meeting has just a few people, right? Diana is very welcome here today. Thank you, Diana, for because to enlarge the number. But the knowledge we hear is a knowledge that we try to do with all the criteria possible to be logical, rational, right? But at the same time, very loving. Okay, guys, so I gotta be going now. So I will host Giles to keep it, right? And any problem, just for example, I think someone here, Haising has my, where's Haising? Has she gone? I think she's gone. But Maria, Gileni, any problem, just call me on WhatsApp, right? And thank you very much, guys. Cases, I'm going to stop recording.
Thank you, Luis.